Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell the truth about silver. Today is Wednesday, the 8th of September 2021, and we're producing our gold and silver morning update and price forecast. Well, what a day yesterday proved to be. Equities down, gold and silver down, and cryptocurrencies massively down. It was generally a down day, and of course the question on all our lips is, will these negative movements continue? Yesterday we produced, on the day Bitcoin crashed, a video entitled Is Bitcoin Becoming Digital Gold? Not many people have looked at that, so we've put a link in the description box below. So let's now find out what's been happening over the last 24 hours and what's likely to happen over the next. Welcome to Illuminati Silver. It's Wednesday, the 8th of September 2021, and currently it's 09:20 AM GMT plus 1. Looking outside, it's hard to decide what the weather is going to do. We think it may be a down day. And that is what has been happening in the equity markets, in the cryptocurrency markets, and in the gold and silver markets yesterday. But will it continue today? Well, we shall take a look in a moment. Looking at the headlines, Bitcoin nurses losses in wake of El Salvador's glitched rollout. Oh my word, what's this about? Well, we mentioned yesterday that El Salvador officially made Bitcoin legal tender. And it was the same day that the Bitcoin prices crashed, and many people, as we have done in the gold and silver space, are crying foul play and manipulation. Some suspecting the IMF and or World Bank or other powers deliberately sabotaging El Salvador's launch. Bitcoin nursed losses Wednesday after plunging amid El Salvador's troubled rollout of the largest cryptocurrency as legal tender. The virtual coin was trading at about $46,000 as of 6:45 a.m. in London, having slid as much as 17% in a day earlier before pairing some of the losses. The downdraft also swept across tokens such as Ether and Dogecoin. Social media platforms were very cautious over the weekend that a plunge could occur following El Salvador's big day. Edward Moyer, senior market analyst at Oanda Corp, wrote in a note, "Some investors likely bought in anticipation of the nation implementing its Bitcoin law September 7 and then moved to sell the fact," he said. El Salvador's experiment with Bitcoin, the biggest test of the token's real-world usefulness, had a rocky start because of technical glitches to the official digital wallet that later appeared to be resolved. President Nayib Bukele said on Twitter the country now holds 550 Bitcoins after buying when the price fell. Well, this is the problem when you adopt something new, adopt something controversial, adopt something which very few of the population know about, or certainly very few understand. And of course we have many people claiming all cryptos are just a scam. That's all I'm going to say on that note, because we know we're not here to talk about cryptocurrencies. UK blinks first on COVID deficit, with tax at 70-year highs. What on earth is that about? The UK is set to take the lead among developed economies by raising new taxes that will help trim pandemic budget deficits, an issue that's likely to dominate policy debate across the world in the coming years. A £12 billion, $17 billion charge on workers and companies is due to come before Parliament for a vote on Wednesday, which is today. If approved, it will mean that the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak, whose Tory party has historically been committed to cutting taxes, will preside over some of the highest levels of taxation in UK history. So the scene is being set for many countries across the world. And we're talking about higher taxes, and look at this headline. UK retail sales lose steam as firms, shoppers fret over prices. The value of goods sold in shops and online grew 3% in August from a year earlier. The British Retail Consortium and KPMG said, less than the 3.9% recorded the same month in 2020. Despite higher demand for clothing, especially as people return to the office and social events such as weddings, BRC Chief Executive Helen Dickinson said, retailers were grappling with higher costs across the supply chain. Staffing pressures and shortages of raw materials have meant some stores have had availability issues or been forced to hike prices. Well, what about when we're taxed even more money? In Europe, European stocks slide most in 3 weeks on economy, ECB risk. As we said, things are down. European shares dropped amid a blurred outlook for global growth as investors await Thursday's update from the European Central Bank. Now, we've said all week that there's not a great deal of economic data coming out of the US this week, but we do have an announcement on rates or an update from the European Central Bank. And as that affects arguably the second or third most powerful currency, the euro, in the world, then we must take note of it. Europe's main stock benchmark has struggled for traction after hitting an all-time high last month. While coronavirus vaccination programs are expected to continue to drive the economic reopening, disappointing economic data has distorted the recovery path just as interest rate setters consider scaling back support. Let's look at Reuters. Main headline there, Bitcoin bruised after chaotic debut as legal tender in El Salvador. BBC Business News, rent rises outside London fastest since 2008. Rents are increasing at their fastest pace in more than 10 years. Protests erupt in El Salvador as Bitcoin crashes. Boeing directors face investor lawsuit over crashes. One for, well, bra boss reveals her CEO secrets. Business bosses warn new tax could hit jobs. What's going on in the United States? Texas enacts controversial voting rights bill. Britney Spears' father files to end conservatorship. Justin Trudeau, we mentioned this yesterday, hit by stones on campaign trail. Let's look at the financials, shall we? US dollar up, or the index is up, 0.13 at 92.64. We said it will eventually work its way forward back to 93, and we still believe that. Might take a little bit of time, but that's where we think it's heading. Energy prices very marginally up. 18 cents for WTI crude and 14 for Brent. Equity markets. Well, in America yesterday, in the United States, marginally down, but under 1% down. Asia overnight, mixed bag, up to 1% up or 0.5% down, depending which index we're looking at. But in Europe and the UK, all down, 1.5% broadly. US economic news, as we say, there's not an awful lot this week, but we do have some today. Job openings for July, Beige Book, and consumer credit. The consumer credit will be, in our view, an interesting one. So, what's been happening? Oh, before I do that, it's tomorrow, the jobless claims and Friday's producer price index that we will need to look at. Gold. Fallen below that $1,800 level. This is not looking good, quite frankly. It currently stands at $1,798, down $15 on the day. And since our Friday's close of $1,828, we're down $29. That is not heartening, and is actually a little worrying because it may now have further to fall. You've got unprecedented levels of money printing. You have issues concerning geopolitical positions, including Afghanistan. You had a cryptocurrency collapse yesterday. One would have thought there would be greater cheer for gold and silver, and equity markets starting to decline, and yet they're still going down. Silver in the last 24 hours is down 1 cent at 24.35, but it did take quite a fall yesterday. Bearing in mind silver started the week at 24.74, so it's down basically 39 cents. Not to get too worried at this stage, but if the trend is back down, then we'll be in $23 silver again very shortly. Cryptocurrency market fallen just below 2 trillion, down 15% over the last 24 hours, and we can see Bitcoin's even lower than that report. It's now at $45,000. Not going well at all for the crypto market, though there are 1 or 2 cryptocurrencies, not many, that are actually up. Algorand is one, up 12%. So, where do we stand? Well, there's concern. There's concern with little data coming out of the US, but the concern seems to be, of course, the spreading of the Delta variant. And, of course, on top of that, employment report on last Friday was hugely disappointing. The economy seems to be struggling. Governments are running out of money, really, to provide even more stimulus, and now looking to raise taxes. This does not augur well for the near future. And really, we should like to see gold and silver rise as a result of that, but of course silver will be affected by any fall in industrial demand. And we cannot ignore that fact. If the economy tanks, there will be limited industrial demand for silver. One would think, though, that the monetary purposes for people acquiring silver would rise, but we're not necessarily witnessing that at the moment. We shall watch this very closely. And on that note, yesterday we published a video, Is Bitcoin Digital Gold?, where some people are arguing cryptocurrencies are the future. We know that many of our viewers are not interested in crypto, but whether you're interested or not, it is important to be aware of that space, because as we have said frequently, and I'll repeat again, they are extracting monies and changing people's views, particularly younger people's views, from the gold and silver market. And for this market to have consistently higher prices, you either have to cut the supply dramatically, which is not happening, or you have to increase the demand quite dramatically, which is also to some degree not happening. And I'm not talking about the odd silver coin or the odd gold coin from a broker or dealer. I'm talking about serious investment funds. That's it for now. Please, if you like what we say, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like what we say, give us a thumbs down, but at least give a remark. Subscribe, press the bell sign, and do have a look at the Is Bitcoin Digital Gold, just to put into perspective what some people out there, and I'm not talking about the ordinary person in the street, I'm actually talking about fund managers, hedge fund managers, investment managers, how they're approaching this space. Thank you once again. Until our next video. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.